you opened the cases in Orlando. How do you know to go there? I mean, I know why you're going to another province. You're going to Gauteng because General Lincoln says to you, don't do it in Cape Town, you must do it in another province. So you decide to go to Gauteng. How do you end up choosing Orlando?
I went to Orlando because it's one of the police stations I know, because whenever we drive past that side, that stands out. I'm not from Johannesburg. For instance, if you were to come to Cape Town, you'd have probably heard of Grand Central Police Station. You might have heard about Manenberg Police Station. No, it isn't a Manenberg Police Station, sorry. Mitchell's Plain Police Station. But chances are you wouldn't have heard of Steenberg Police Station, Ocean View Police Station. So it's a question of, I wouldn't say familiarity, but maybe it's a beacon.
So you fly to Johannesburg, to Gauteng, you go to Orlando, and you're going on your own there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you get there, what happens?
Now, this is the part that, and I think I'm going to irritate you with this. We're worried about our dockets disappearing again. I am sent a contact by Andre Lincoln. The contact's name is Elvis. He says to me, when you're close to the police station, call. He'll assist you. I get to the police station. I wasn't close. I was actually in the police station when I called Elvis. I almost imagine he happened to be outside. I almost imagine. Maybe the cameras can confirm. And he led me inside, and I'm thinking, did he take my dog? Did he take my statement, or did he? General Lincoln sends me that, and he says, speak to this guy when you get there. First he asked me, are you still going to Orlando? I said, yeah. He said, speak to this guy.
Okay, so General Lincoln knew you were going to go to Orlando specifically. Okay. Go to page...
Is he the one that said you must go to Orlando? How do you pick Orlando?
I said I was going to. You know, that's one of the police stations that I would know in Joburg. I wouldn't know many others.
So you had been to this police station before?
I had met someone there before.
You had been to...
I had met someone there before. I have some family members in Joburg, and I was lost one day, and I was told, meet me at Orlando police station. That it was that kind of situation.
Ms Nube, maybe this is a good time to ask my question. Ms Adams, there was a lot of activity in December 2024, and a lot of it involved Mr. Brown Mokgotsi assisting people with opening cases in Soweto. Did you, by any chance, speak to Mr. Brown Mokgotsi around November, December 2024?
General Lincoln was in contact with Mr. Brown Mokgotsi, who he told me was someone that was close to the minister, something that I now know to be a lie, not from General Lincoln's side. I had met Mr. Mokgotsi, spoken to Mr. Mokgotsi, sorry, on the phone once.
Take it slow. When did you speak to Mr. Mokgotsi?
I couldn't tell you if it was November of 2024 or December of 2024 or January of 2024, but I had spoken to him on the phone once.
Because almost every case that is opened in Soweto relating to our terms of reference somehow has Mr. Mokgotsi's fingerprints. So listening to you, I suspected that you end up in Orlando because that was Mr. Mokgotsi's idea, and I could be completely wrong. That's why I needed you to ask the question so that you can assist us. What was Mr. Brown Mokgotsi's involvement in you ending up opening these cases and opening them in Soweto? And what was his communication with you and Mr. Lincoln?
From my side, there was no communication with Mr. Mokgotsi. Not on that issue. My communication with Mr. Mokgotsi happened on the phone with Andre Lincoln regarding...
It was a three-way call.
No, I was at his house on the day. He was speaking to him.
You were at Mr. Lincoln's house?
I was at Mr. Lincoln's house.
And it was in November 2020?
I couldn't tell you that.
But it was before you opened these cases?
I didn't write down the date, if you understand what I'm saying. It was just a phone call.
I don't need the exact date. I need to know, was it before you opened the cases?
I think it was after, but I don't want to lie to you, Commissioner. So It's hard for me to say. It was just a phone call. It was just, I was sitting at the general's house. This gentleman phoned. He said to me, say hello to the minister's friend, Brown.
And you were discussing crime intelligence issues?
No.
You were not?
Andre Lincoln, as I explained to the advocate earlier, had not been paid his pension. And he was complaining to Mr. Mogotsi that the minister was doing nothing about it and it was unfair. And my involvement in that conversation was, not even Mr. Mogotsi, I said, Brown, this is a good man. He served this country. This is not right. That was the conversation.
And that's where it ended?
That's where it ended from.
And then did Mr. Lincoln say anything to you about Brown Mogotsi assisting to open the cases?
No, sir.
No. Thank you.
Okay, go to page 3912 in file 9B.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the witness statement of a witness that we refer to as witness G, who has been identified as so-called Mr. Brown Mogotsi, so-called handler. He's in crime intelligence.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's a colonel. And if you go to page 3918, this is part of his statement where he was asked about his relationship with Mr. Fadiel Adams. And he says, I have known Mr. Fadiel Adams while he was an activist prior to him being a member of parliament associated with the National Coloured Congress. And he was asked your involvement in assisting Mr. Fadiel Adams to register a case in Orlando Police Station, including the type of allegations and or charges thereof. He says, Mr. Adams contacted me telephonically requesting assistance to open a case. I informed him that I would be in the vicinity of the Orlando precinct policing area the following day and that he could meet with me at the Orlando police station in the afternoon. The following day, when Mr. Adams arrived at the Orlando police station, I referred him to a detective and informed the detective to attend to Mr. Adams by taking his statement and or opening the case. I did not ask Mr. Adams the details or nature of the case he was opening. Now, do you know witness G?
This is the man that I described as Elvis.
Okay. And did he assist you in opening this case?
I called him. I did call him, but I think he's got his details wrong, the sequence of events. I called him and I told him that I would be coming to the Orlando police station. I see he's saying that he would be in the vicinity. Maybe he was in the vicinity, but I told him I would be coming there. I see on the previous page that he's, I don't know if that's in, let me just check. Sorry about this.
Before,
No, ma'am.
because he says the following day when you arrived at the Orlando police station, he referred you to a detective. So you had the discussion the day before.
No, ma'am. I called him on the day. I received his details at the airport, literally as I was getting into the Uber.
But he says that he's known you as an activist prior to you being a member of parliament.
Many people know me, ma'am, because of my activism. I've been on TV many times because of Truthful Cape Townian and the National Coloured Congress. I do not know this man. I think he's got his details mixed up. It was a long time ago. I called him and I told him I'm at the Orlando police station. I should have called you earlier. He said, no, it's fine. I am here.
And you say he called you, or you called him because you got his details from General Lincoln?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I thought, the way I see it, he and General Lincoln knew each other. General Lincoln said to him, listen here, we've got a serious case. The dockets are disappearing. Can you assist? I don't know if General Lincoln told him I'm coming to Orlando. I don't know any of that. I was going to Orlando. I called him when I was there. He was there. And now that you've mentioned it, or now that he said it, I am still unsure myself if it was he that took the statement or if he assigned me to someone. But he says that he assigned me to a detective and we can check in the docket.
And did you know that, so are you saying that you only spoke to him that one time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and never again?
Never again.
And never before?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you wouldn't be aware that he has a long-standing relationship with General Khan?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you wouldn't know that him and General Khan are friends?
I didn't ask any of that, ma'am.
And did you know at the time when you spoke to him that he was Mr. Mohotsi's handler?
I suspected that I saw something like that. That's why I went looking for it. I did not know. Remember, at that time, the country didn't know that Brown Mohotsi was I don't know if he is a CI, but the country didn't know it. I had been introduced on the phone to this man, and afterwards, before, I was told this man is close to the minister. I'm assuming he's a person of influence. I didn't know he's a CI.
And when you met with the IDAC officials and they asked you about this, what did you tell them when you were asked by Ms. Ramsamy about going to Orlando? Why did you pick the Orlando police station, and whether you had any contacts there?
I would need to listen to the recording to confirm that. It was a long time ago.
Okay. She did ask you that question specifically. Would you have told her about the person that you refer to as Elvis?
I'd need to listen to the recording first.
Okay. We'll listen to the recording. But so what you're saying is that it is coincidence that the person who assisted you with opening these dockets in Orlando is also a person who is from Crime Intelligence, a friend of General Khan, the handler of Mr. Brown Mohotsi, who has an association with Minister Mkunu, who you complained to the very next day about your missing dockets.
I am low-key surprised by some of it. Not that much surprises me about the SAPs these days. I have no association with General Khan. I've seen him at a dinner that was organized for Imtiaz Suleiman. I don't know where I fit into all of that. My relationship with Elvis is based on a WhatsApp contact that I was sent by my person. Whether they knew each other, whether General Lincoln knew General Khan on a personal level, I don't know. He spoke of General Khan on and off. I've got nothing to do with any of that.
General Lincoln, who was a retired general at the time, had so much knowledge about what was happening within Crime Intelligence that he was feeding you this information.
I would say yes.
Okay. And do you know where he got the information from?
Ma'am, if only yes. That man knew so much about SAPs, about the underworld. I mean, it was his job. He was the head of the AGU. There was literally nothing you could ask him that he couldn't answer you on in these terms. If you mention the policeman to Andre Lincoln, he'd tell you that's a good guy. Nope, don't bother with that one. He was in terms of SAPs, he was a walking encyclopedia. That's why when he told me the dockets have been intercepted and it shouldn't have happened, I believed him without questioning him.
You said something earlier that he introduced you to Mr. Mohotsi on the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were at his place. And he introduced Mr. Mohotsi as someone who is close to the minister. And as you are sitting there now, you said, now you know it was a lie, that Mr. Mohotsi is a friend of the minister.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which means when General Lincoln told you that Mr. Mohotsi is a friend of the minister, that was not correct. What General Lincoln told you was in fact not a fact.
I understand.
According to you.
Sorry. I understand that was wrong.
Okay.
And if I may, I do not think that General Lincoln lied. I think Brown Mohotsi misrepresented.
Yeah, no. Let's not go there.
Sorry.
General Lincoln is not here to tell us about that telephone conversation, and I don't want us to speculate about Mohotsi. That's not the point of what I want to raise with you. Yesterday we went through the investigation diary, and it was shown to you that if you were told that your docket has been removed and is not being worked on, that is not correct, because on the very day that you laid your charge, there are notes that shows that someone was working on the docket, and I think you fairly accepted that. That's what that docket indicated. Here's my proposition to you for your comment, that therefore, when General Lincoln, and if he did, say to you, your docket has disappeared on that day already when you laid a charge, that could not have been correct. He was mistaken about it, because we saw from the diary. At best, he was mistaken, Two, he was misinforming you because on the face of the diary, we do see entries that indicate that on the very day and the 31st, in fact, work was happening on that docket. On that docket, would you be prepared to accept that? He may have been mistaken. He's not here to explain himself.
Or three, you are not telling us the truth about him having told you this at all.
Which
about when you say your community?
I'm talking about the Cape Flats where I reside, sir, where the war's on. There's never enough haste. Last night, I haven't checked the figures. I can tell you now, last night, 7 to 12 people died on the Cape Flats. There's never enough haste. So I understand your point, and I concede your point that it might seem like it was in a hurry, but I try to get things done immediately. So I do concede, I consider what you're saying, and if I was sitting there talking to you, I might hold the same view. But if you see the view from where I'm standing, there's never enough haste. If I could have left on the same day, I would have. I would have.
Earlier you mentioned the airport in response to one of the questions by Ms. Nube. Did I hear you correctly? I think you did mention the airport.
I mentioned receiving the contact at the airport, yeah.
Airport. Was that the same day you went to Orlando Police Station?
Yes, Chairperson.
Did you go to Orlando Police Station right from the airport, or did you first go somewhere else?
I think I might have stopped for a coffee because it was an early flight.
But you were bound, you were Orlando bound.
Yes, sir.
After landing, then your next stop, except for the coffee, was Orlando Police.
Yes, Chairperson.
Kempton Park, I'm sure it does have a police station, and the airport is right next door to Kempton Park.
Never been to Kempton Park, Chairperson.
No, but do you agree that it's right next door to?
Well, now that you tell me, I mean, if I'm a Cape Townian boy, Chairperson, I can tell you now the areas I know in Johannesburg, the areas I know, and I couldn't find it myself right now. Is Aldo's?
Let's not lengthen it, please. Let us not. You accept that OR Tambo International, is that where you landed? OR Tambo International?
Sir.
Yes. Do you accept that Kempton Park is right next door to Kempton Park?
I can't argue with that, Chairperson.
It is, it's a fact, and there is a police station in Kempton Park, right next door to OR Tambo. And it would have been a matter of relative ease for you to establish, if for whatever reason you felt like leaving Cape Town and coming all the way to Johannesburg, more than 2 hours or about 2 hours on a flight to come lay your charges in Johannesburg. It would have been a matter of relative ease for you to just do some homework. Once I've landed, where's the nearest police station I can go to? Instead of just saying, oh, by the way, I happen to know that there is a police station somewhere that I once went to, regardless of how far it is from the airport. It would have been a matter of relative ease for you to establish what's the nearest police station from the airport, was it not?
Yes, Chairperson.
It was.
Yes.
You never engaged in that exercise. You never engaged in that exercise. You just chose to go all the way to the southern part of Johannesburg.
Chairperson.
Which Soweto is, which Orlando, which is in Soweto, is. Southern part. It's I won't say it's the furthest part of Johannesburg, but it's close to being one of the furthest parts of Johannesburg. That's your choice, instead of going to a police station right next door to OR Tambo International. That's what you chose.
Yes, Chairperson.
Instead of the relatively easy thing of finding out where's the nearest police station. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair's point, there is a police station at the airport, at OR Tambo Airport. You aware of that?
There is a police station at every airport, but my understanding, just like Parliament's police, they also have limited, they've got a very narrow scope. Like, for instance, I don't think parliamentary police can do investigation. Their job is to secure Parliament, look after the VIPs, that type of thing. And almost 100% sure that the airport has its own scope that they must secure the national key points. I don't think they have time or resources for investigation. I do take the chair's point that Kempton Park is right next door.
You didn't go.
And when I think about it now, it would have made sense. But for me, in my head, there are a few police stations I know. I complicated things with that. But thank you, Chairperson.
Maybe, I know, sorry, Ms Nube, that will be jumping in. Maybe tell us who are the people that you discussed this with, the laying of the charges, because you've just said something very important. You say that when we discussed it, we said let's lay many cases or something, I paraphrase, so that none, if one takes the others remain. Who did you discuss? You spoke to General Lincoln, you tell us that. Who else did you discuss your intention or your plan to go and lay criminal charges arising from whatever information you have? Certainly more than General Lincoln, because you do say that when we discussed it.
If I have to mention people, Commissioner, if you will I might as well mention the names. The one is Honorable Sakina Frenchman, who is a fellow MP. I didn't show.
Who's that?
Sakina Frenchman. Mm-hmm. I can spell the name for you later. It's a little bit. I can write it down for you.
We've seen it in your email.
That's the one.
You don't need to do that.
The other one is a colleague of mine within NCC. He's Councillor Nazmi Jacobs. And the other one was I can't remember this captain's name, but I know he was in firearms control. General Lincoln had him on the phone one day while we were talking about this.
So the decision or the idea to lay charges is a matter that was discussed and planned by a group of people. You've given us 3 names, General Lincoln and now you. So all 5 of you agreed and planned to lay charges and how you were going to go about it so that the dockets don't disappear.
Commissioner, to put it like this, laying the charges was something that I had discussed with General Lincoln, and I told Honorable Sakina Frenchman I'm going to lay charges. When those dockets end up in Pretoria, we sit down and we discuss how to prevent the dockets disappearing again, how to make it harder. And that is what there was no plan to go and lay initial charges. And if my information that the dockets had disappeared, if that doesn't happen, then I never come to Johannesburg to lay charges.
So I think you say Honorable Sakina, that's a member of parliament.
She's a member of parliament.
So there was the involvement of a politician. Other than you, there is a politician that was involved in the decision to lay charges and how you are going to do it. Because you do on your own ways. Let me finish. And if you have any doubt about what you said, the record will reflect that. On your own words, you say, we discussed this and how we are going to do it. Let's lay many charges, open many dockets, so that when they take one, the others survive. So there's a discussion with people. What I'm clarifying now with you was, certainly from your testimony now, we know there's another politician that is involved in the discussion plan and the how about to do it decision to lay charges. That's a fair summary.
I had mentioned her yesterday in that I had spoken to her about it. And so when I mentioned Ian Cameron, sorry, again, my mix-up. I had mentioned speaking to her yesterday, and I had mentioned speaking to Ian Cameron. Sorry if
I may have missed it.
I might either
I'm clarified now.
No, that's actually my fault, not yours. Sorry, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Can we then just deal with what happens after you lay the charges at Orlando? So that's on the 31st of October.
Okay, which page do you want me to go?
I'm asking the timeline. So on the 31st of October, you lay those charges and you get the case number immediately, the case numbers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then we know that the very next morning, you write an email to the minister. Why did you do that?
Because are we on the first lot of cases or the second? Because my.
So the 1st of November, let's go to the.
I'm asking if it's the Cape Town cases or the Joburg cases.
It's the Joburg cases. Cape Town, I know it's such a short period, that's why you can get confused. 29th is the Cape Town. You fly to Johannesburg, and on the 31st, you open the Orlando cases, and on the 1st of November, you send, the morning of the 1st of November, you send an email to the minister via Ms. Frenchman. So that's on page 3977 of bundle 9B. 3977. It's a duplicate of your documents, but it's a clearer copy.
Yes, ma'am, I see it.
So it starts at the bottom of 3977, Sakina Frenchman to Edward Senzomkunu on the 1st of November at 8:21 a.m. Charges laid by NCC. NCC would be your party.
Yes, ma'am.
If you look at the next page, 3978, you'll see that she, although it's from her email address, it says regards Honorable Fadiel Adams.
Yes, ma'am.
And if we then go back to 3977, it says to Minister of Police, 1, I have opened cases in the Western Cape on a number of senior SAPS personnel as per the following case dockets, as per Grand Central, and then it gives the case numbers. 2, I was told that the dockets were intercepted. Now, let's just pause there. So these are now the Cape Town dockets that you were told was intercepted. 3, in my quest for justice, I traveled to Gauteng and opened the following dockets as per Orlando SAPS, and you give the numbers. 4, however, I have also been notified that the Gauteng Police Department has followed the same modus operandi as the Western Cape PC and is interfering in the investigative process. Let's pause there. Laid the charges the day before. At 8 o'clock the next morning, you know that Gauteng police is adopting the same modus operandi. Based on what?
Again, the man with insight into these type of things.
No, Mr. Adams. You have the CAS numbers now. You cannot rely on a dead man every time.
Ma'am,
it's unacceptable.
I understand your frustration. Let me explain mine to you, if you will, please.
This is the man that says to you, go to Orlando. So he must trust Orlando. He also arranges for somebody from Orlando because he doesn't want the same thing. If we believe you, which I highly doubt that anyone does, but if we believe you that the Cape Town dockets were intercepted, you have now covered every base to make sure the Joburg dockets don't get intercepted. But the very next day you say to the minister, the same thing has happened. How is that possible? Then it must be General Lincoln and Witness G that has intercepted those dockets.
General Lincoln is in Cape Town without legs. He can't intercept a docket.
And yet he knows that the dockets have been intercepted.
This is what this man has told me. Now, if you will allow me, I will explain to you. There's a case.
Let's get this first. Let's get this first. What time did you lay your charges in Orlando?
It was in the was it in the morning? I think it was late morning, Chief. I think it was late morning. I caught the early flight to Joburg.
Mr. Adams, you've again said Chief.
Commissioner, I apologize. It just slips out. Commissioner, Chairperson, sorry. I think it was late morning. Please.
What time, referring perhaps to the time you got there, what time did you leave Orlando Police Station?
I wasn't there very long. I wasn't, maybe an hour, maybe less. I wasn't there very long.
And when you say late morning, do you mean approaching midday?
It would have been before midday if my memory serves me.
All right. Please, I just wanted to understand the timing. So late morning and then 8 a.m. Mr. Adams is writing the email. No, please continue with your question.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
So you say that by 8 o'clock the next morning, you are in a position to say to the Minister of Police that your dockets in Johannesburg have also been intercepted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what information are you given to make that conclusion?
If I can put it into context for you, I've laid 3 charges against 3 senior members of SAPS. I'm told the dockets are gone. I come to Johannesburg to lay the same charges. I'm told that he didn't say that it's being taken. He said they're going to try and take it again. In panic, I write to the minister in the morning. Minister, please assist.
But that's not what you say to the minister.
Ms. Nube, sorry to do this to you. If we go back to witness G's affidavit, what he said in paragraph 91 was that they were going to meet the following day in the afternoon. So it could not have been in the morning if what he says in his affidavit is correct.
I think it was in the morning, and I can also tell you I did not speak to witness G the day before.
No, he says when you contacted him requesting assistance, he informed you that he would be in the Orlando precinct area the following day and that you could meet with him at Orlando police station in the afternoon.
Can you just show me the page, please, Mr. J? I can just read it for myself.
Same file 3918.
3918.
Paragraph 91.
No, sir. I did not contact him the day before. And
But the issue is not when you contacted him. The issue is when you met with him at the Orlando police station.
I still think it was the morning. But that is why I say we can refer to the docket. The docket
Are
will
you
tell us-
sure or you think? Are you sure?
We're talking about events that happened 19 months ago. It's hard for me to say it was the morning. In my head, I think it was before midday, Commissioner.
But it's possible that it could have been afternoon.
I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I still think it was in the morning.
Sorry, Ms. Nube, you may continue.
Can you go to page 3895? 389.
I have 3897.
3897. You see that's the front cover of the docket.
Yes, I do.
And then if we go to 3898, that is your A1.
Yes, ma'am.
If you go to 3899, you see the commissioner's stamp.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see the time?
It's 1:30.
1:30.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So work off that timeline.
So if I got to the police station around about midday, I would have spent about an hour there. I think that I'm not far off. I'm not far off.
Okay. So it's 1:30. So what happens between 1:30 and 8 o'clock the next morning?
I'm told by General Lincoln they're trying the same stunt again. That is exactly what
You're told?
Oh, please repeat that.
I'm told by General Lincoln that they're trying to intercept the dockets again. Now, Commissioner, if I can just put it into context for you. I just want to show you something. I actually wasn't going to mention this, but if you will allow me, sorry. There's a case, Kales River case. It's 771 of 10/2010. This is a rape case against a senior general. It's never been investigated. The docket has been shelved.
Maybe that has happened.
No, I just...
No, let me say, because we do have limited time, so, and I think you do have a lot of things that you would like to share, but let's come back to the question. Maybe what you're about to start now has happened, but that's not what we are discussing. You're being asked specific question by the chair. What were you saying General Lincoln said to you?
General Lincoln told me, and I wouldn't be able to tell you the time, but on the same day, and if I want to quote him, he said something along these buggers just don't stop. They're about to do it again. Those were the words, and that prompted me to mail the minister. Now, as I sit here, if indeed they were planning to confiscate the dockets, the minister would be the right office to email. It would be the right place to call. That's why the minister's there.
But that's not what you say in paragraph 4.
Paragraph 4
of the letter to the minister.
Can I see?
3978.
3978. You're not saying they are about to do the same thing they did in the Western Cape. You say they've done the same thing. They're interfering in the investigation, in the investigative process, and this is less than 24 hours after you laid the complaint, and you represent to the minister that your dockets have been intercepted in Gauteng. That can be, because your explanation now is General Lincoln said to you they're about to do that. So you were misleading the minister in paragraph 4 if you tell him that they have intercepted your Gauteng dockets. Because your explanation now is General Lincoln said to you they're about to do that. Why do you say to the minister, less than 24 hours after you laid the charge, why do you say to the minister, what happened in the Western Cape has now happened in Gauteng, when that is false?
I think I preempted that, to be honest with you, Commissioner. I'm saying I've also been notified that Gauteng Police Department has followed the same modus operandi, which means they're taking the dockets or have taken the dockets, which I think is out of context on my side. It is not a deliberate attempt to mislead the minister. It is me saying to the minister, please act. That is what I'm saying. Please act.
So you accept that General Lincoln, if he is the one that spoke to you, you accept that General Lincoln didn't say to you, the Gauteng police have intercepted your dockets. You accept that?
No. Yes, he didn't say they've taken, sorry, not no to you. He didn't say they've taken the dockets.
Yes, and so what is in paragraph 4 is in fact false.
No,
that you say to the minister, it may not have been your intention, you're explaining it now, but we are now looking at the text of what you said to the minister, and I just want to simply clarify beyond doubt that paragraph 4, to the extent that in its terms it says the police in Gauteng are doing exactly what happened with your dockets in Cape Town, was in fact false.
I will concede that I could have worded it better,
Okay.
Commissioner. I could have, and maybe I should stop being in such a rush with everything. I could have worded this better.
All right, thank you.
But you are a member of parliament, and you don't give this process any chance. You draw conclusions based on what somebody who has no involvement in this investigation. He has absolutely no involvement. In fact, he's the one that says to you, go to Orlando, and I've got a guy that's going to help you. So you should be able to trust that process. Now he comes to you and he says to you in the same breath, they're trying to do the same thing. Why don't you say to him, but what are you basing this on? You're the one that said to me, go to Orlando.
I didn't ask him that, but my thought process is that a general's a lot more powerful than a colonel. It was a colonel that helped us, and from where we're standing, it is people right at the top that are taking the dockets. That is my understanding.
But you don't know that, right? You don't know it as a fact. And my point is that you stand in a position of trust. You are a member of parliament. Surely you understand what comes with that role. You have access to the minister. You are actually abusing your position as a member of parliament to report this matter to the minister, where there are legitimate cases, and I don't disagree with you there, of dockets going missing, where exhibits, important exhibits like firearms and projectiles and all of that goes missing with the docket. Your docket has no evidence. It is just an A1 statement. You don't even provide documentary evidence to substantiate your allegations, and yet you go to the minister using your position as a member of parliament to have him do what? Intervene. The very thing that you want to prevent in your cases, you want the minister to do that. You want him to intervene in an investigation that you are not giving a chance. Can you see what the problem is?
I can half agree with what you're saying, but I've sent the minister's office 2, maybe 3 emails going on 3 years. I have access to the minister. I don't abuse it. This, in my view, was serious. The commissioners, yes. And it's up to them to make that determination. But I feel that as a member of parliament, I had every right to send that email, as I had every responsibility to lay that case. I hear you, advocate, when you say that my docket only holds an A1 statement. I'm being told that I must handle the information. If I put it in the docket for anyone to see, I would have been guilty of mishandling the information. I kept the information intending to give it to the investigating officer.
Mr. Adams, but the investigative process hasn't even started yet. And you're already telling the minister that it's being interfered with. It hasn't started. There hasn't even been an investigating officer assigned to this.
Advocate, if I may, I explained yesterday. I'm surrounded by people whose murder dockets and rape dockets have disappeared. This is a reality to me. I understand you may not understand that, but I'm asking you to indulge me that stolen dockets what we deal with.
If your docket was stolen, your 3 dockets, you could easily just go and do 3 more dockets because it had nothing in it. It was A1 statements. That's all it was.
The question that I would like to ask is, I'm going to state that it's not necessary for anyone to open 3 cases on the same issue.
I agree with you, and you shouldn't have done it. I agree with you. You shouldn't have. You should have allowed the Cape Town process to run its course. You had no basis to even go to Orlando. And then when you get to Orlando, you don't even give that process. It's hardly been registered on the system, and already you're sending an email to the minister. And that is why General Mkwanazi says, at the crack of dawn, you're sending an email to the minister. You have just lodged the charges the day before.
What General Mkwanazi doesn't say is that the dockets ended up in a safe in Pretoria.
And we'll get to that process, and you know very well why it ended up there. It was part of the process that you initiated because you complained to the minister.
Mr. Adams, the problem is the appearances of all of this, that and going back, you start with documents that come in under your door. You don't know who gave you the documents. You act on the documents, and I'm not questioning it for purpose of what I'm saying now. That I'm not saying you shouldn't have acted. You act on the documents. You go and lay a charge. And the very next day, you're already saying, I've been told that the dockets have been intercepted by someone who's not in a position to speak for themselves because they're not here. And you say, I then go to Orlando. That person makes arrangements for you that you should go and meet. So you get special treatment, basically, which is someone is going to hold your hand that is trusted, take you into a police station, hand you over to obviously someone that they trust. You lay the complaint again with them on all 3 dockets. And the very next day, in fact, to say the very next day is to be generous, in less than 24 hours of you laying that charge, you are now writing to the minister. Ms Nube will take us there. We then see even the minister's office acting on the very same day, escalating it. All of it looks unseemly. It looks like a scheme that was generated to culminate the way it did, which is at IDEC. Who Ms. Johnson has accepted. They have no business to get involved with this, but it looks like a well-orchestrated scheme because your conduct doesn't make sense. And even allowing for the possibility that you may have been fed wrong information by General Lincoln, because we now know that there was no basis for you to say the dockets have been intercepted, they have been, even in Gauteng, even allowing for that he may have misled you, maybe because he also was part of a scheme, I don't know, but allowing for that. You are a member of parliament, you are a thinking member of parliament. And when you're told dockets have been intercepted, you're expected to ask the necessary questions, including about Gauteng. If General Lincoln says to you, your dockets have been intercepted, as a responsible member of parliament and a thinking member of parliament, it's unthinkable that you wouldn't ask basic questions like, hey, how do you know this? Let me phone the gentleman, the person that I reported to yesterday, and ask them where are my dockets in the scheme before you escalate things to the minister. There's just something wrong about this whole process. For lack of a better word, it stinks of machinations. Do you want to comment? You speak of the serious cases that you have to deal with on a daily basis, the killings, the rapes, which no one will argue with you against. And with all of that, what was so urgent about the cases of a forklift, the case of General Madondo's vetting, General Kumalo's vetting in General Masemula? What was so urgent that things had to happen within hours, because that's what you did with the Western Cape, that's what you do with Gauteng, and your correspondence to the minister and the minister's chief of staff on the same day writes to the subs. But I want to hear from your perspective, what was so urgent that it had to happen within 24 hours?
If I may, Commissioner? Thank you. What was important to me about this is that on the basis of what I've seen, and these are only allegations, like I say, I wanted it followed up by an investigation, is that there's a possibility that at the very top of crime intelligence, people are A, stealing, B, promoting people with criminal records to top positions. And like you said, it just seemed to stink, and I wanted it clean. They don't know where the drug dealers are in Cape Town. They don't know where the guns are in Cape Town. One police officer can sell 2,700 guns to the gangs in Cape Town, and crime intelligence doesn't know. So for me, this was important. If we can't detect crime, we can't fight crime. And if we have incompetent and compromised people at crime intelligence, we might as well close the place.
Yeah, okay,
that was important to me.
Yeah, no, you haven't answered my question about why was it urgent in this case. Why was it urgent? And the urgent of 24 hours. I'm not talking urgent generally. I'm talking urgent of 24 hours, that your complaint about General Madondo and her vetting and a polygraph should be investigated and be finished within 24 hours. The same with General Kumalo. It's that. My question is that direct. Why in this case was it the urgency of within 24 hours you needed to have? You haven't given them documents, by the way. You've just done an A1 statement. You are not answering my question. What made this so urgent that within 24 hours you're escalating things to the minister?
If I may, is this the Gauteng one? The first case that I laid, the first batch of cases I laid in Cape Town, I sent the minister an email. Then I laid the cases again, and I'm triggered.
I understand that. So when you first laid a case in Cape Town, you sent an email to the minister?
That it is alleged that my documents have gone missing. I sent that email. Then
before the 1st of November.
There was a 10-day gap between the emails, if I remember correctly. If I can check, will you allow me to check?
Yeah, it's your answer, please. To check.
Please, let me just get this right. I don't want to get this wrong. Just keep, if the commission will just.
It out to me, Mr. Adams, that it's time for the tea break. You can look. We can take the break now, and then you can look it up.
Let's adjourn and resume at 11.
It starts on page 3976, at the bottom of 3976.
Yes, ma'am.
And the emails are being then forwarded to, can you see who it is CC'd? CC Divisional Commissioner Inspectorate.
I see that.
Okay. We don't know who the recipient is, because we all have, I think, redacted versions of this email, unless the commissioners have an unredacted one. But this is how we had received.
But wasn't that Divisional Commissioner General Jacobs?
That's correct, Chair, but we don't know if it's somebody in his office that had received it, because there's a response which also from somebody from the Divisional Commissioner's office. But we know it goes to the Divisional Commissioner, which is General Jacobs. The complainant sent an email to the Office of the Minister of Police, wherein the complainant alleged the following, and it sets out what you had alleged. And on page 3854, he says, if your office is in support of the request, please find the dockets for perusal. And it's dated the 20th of November 2024. Do you see that?
I do. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Advocate.
Yes. Now go to page 3855. This is now Colonel Phillips' report. Colonel Phillips is in the Division Inspectorate and is appointed as the Section Commander, Complaints Collation. He says in paragraph 2, as part of my duties, I also assist investigations of service complaints received at Division Inspectorate. I was tasked to assist in, and he mentions the case numbers, a service complaint leveled by Fadiel Adams, wherein he alleged that the SAPS provincial officers had interfered in the investigation of criminal dockets opened at Cape Town Central SAPS and Orlando SAPS. The allegations contained in the criminal dockets are directed at senior officers attached to the division, crime intelligence. Then he says, as part of the service complaint investigation, 6 criminal dockets were obtained with the following allegations. Now, he lists the Cape Town, you'll see he lists them, Orlando 403, Cape Town, and he's got them on there as well. Can you see?
I can see that.
So he is in General Jacobs' office, you know that, right? So when he's talking about the dockets, as part of the service complaint investigation, 6 criminal dockets were obtained. This explains why General Jacobs had the dockets. Do you see that? Because his office was tasked with investigating your complaint that you initiated by complaining to the minister, and it was then escalated to them. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. So for you to say the dockets were found in General Jacobs' safe, why do you think that there would be anything sinister about that when you know that you complained to the minister and that it had been investigated? And you said that Mr. Kabinde had told you that your complaint was being investigated. So why would you find it sinister that General Jacobs, who is investigating a service complaint made by you to the minister, would have those dockets?
Oh, if I may?
Yeah.
The complaint to the minister is not service delivery related. I'm telling the minister my dockets have been intercepted. That, in my view, is criminal. Now, if you look at the emails from Mr. Nkabinde, I'm not copying in on any one of them, so I don't know of a service delivery investigation that's going on until Colonel Phillips calls me. So what I'm saying is, yes, there was an investigation, but as per the SAPS protocol, the complainant comes in, he lays a charge. That docket is sent to the head of detectives. He assigns investigators. You hear from that investigator. Province cannot take a document before it gets to the head of detectives. And even so, they didn't notify me of this. Now, when you say that the dockets are with General Jacobs, I can read it here. Yes, but how are the dockets to be investigated if it's in Pretoria? I would also question, and I'm not an expert in this policy, and again, I'm missing Andre right now. If there is any rule in the SAPS rule book that allows you to transfer a docket out of Cape Town to where, or across provinces, because they are so strict on chain of custody, or supposed to be strict. This is confusing to me. Now, I understand, Advocate, exactly what you're saying, and you're showing it to me on paper, and the state signatures, everything, that's perfect. But please understand my concern. I know for a fact where the docket is supposed to go from here till there till there. Now, when the provincial office gets involved without notifying me, then this is a concern. Now, again, I'm not saying anyone is guilty of anything. I'm saying I was concerned and therefore I acted.
Which province are you referring to? Because you've got dockets in both provinces.
I'm talking about the Cape Town dockets ending up in Pretoria.
Yes, but you told the minister that your dockets have been intercepted. You're asking for the minister to intervene to ensure that the investigation process, the integrity of the investigations is maintained, right?
Yes.
So that then gets activated. The minister's office engages with the inspectorate and they take it further. So they request your dockets in order to look at the dockets, to make an assessment to see whether there has been interception, and then they make an assessment of the merits of the docket. What's the problem there?
The problem again, we've got a fully functional SAPS in the Western Cape. Fully functional. I'm sure that the inspectorate has branches right there in the Western Cape. I'm saying to you that in my view, and I'm a layman at this, those dockets should never have ended up in Pretoria. And maybe we must get an expert to consult to advise us on this. I'm just confused.
No, but how can you say they should not have ended up in Pretoria? You've escalated the matter to Pretoria. You've taken it out of Cape Town to Orlando and Langlaagte, and then you escalate it to the minister. How can you then say they should not have ended? Otherwise, how does National investigate your complaint to the minister? So you've got a complaint to the minister. What did you expect to happen when you tell the minister, my dockets have been intercepted both in Cape Town and in Gauteng?
May I?
Yes.
I expected the minister to take some type of action, and I'm not describing the action to him. What upsets me about, not upsets, what confuses me about all of this is I'm asking for an investigation. I'm alleging that my dockets have disappeared or been confiscated. Nobody notifies me of this. I mean, but let's leave it at that. I'm not that important. However, when those dockets are transferred to Pretoria, how much investigation can be done? So when they come back and they say to me that the information is scarce, it's because I'm sitting with the information that needs to be attached. Now, again, Commissioner, there's no communication. The dockets
I'm discussing, sorry, allow me to interrupt you. I'm discussing a different point with you. There's a thread in how you deal with that the dockets ended up with General Jacobs in a safe, and it's clear what you've been suggesting about it, something sinister about that, and I'm engaging you on that you've escalated a complaint to the minister. What is sinister about the fact that now your complaint about dockets disappearing is being dealt with at National? Of course, they have to get the dockets from Cape Town. They have to get the dockets from Orlando to look at what you are complaining about. Why do you suggest that something is sinister about that?
If I may.
Yes.
So where I'm at, Commissioner, and if this makes any sense to you, I'm not aware that Peter Jacobs' office is looking at this. The colonel who called me never told me he works in that office. He said, I'm from the inspectorate. I thought it was Western Cape. And this is why I never took the meeting with him, because this investigation is going to get going. In my head, I don't care who's trying to sabotage it. So when I see this now, and I see this as an admission in the paper that we have the docket, I wasn't aware of any of this. Now, what could have avoided all of this confusion is I've always had a very cordial and respectful relationship with General Patikile. He's always had my number, I've always had his. He could have called me and said, hey, Boetie, you're on the wrong track here. That call never happened. There was no communication.
Yesterday you said you don't trust him.
No.
We are past that. Yesterday your evidence was you did not trust him. When Ms Nube said to you, how do you take the word of a retired general who's not in the police over that of a provincial commissioner that he will investigate your matter? You said, well, I was suspicious of him. I didn't trust him. So I think let's get past your relationship and your views about General Patekile. The issue now, and I thought we are getting to closing it, that now that you know, maybe you didn't know at the time, now that you know that your complaint to the minister was escalated to a point where now General Jacobs, the inspectorate, who's at National, is in looking into the matter, because now you've got the records in front of you, are you prepared to accept that this is perhaps another case where you acted and formed views actually too quickly without the facts? You're blaming it on communication. Maybe they should have told you and they did not. But now that you see that in fact there was an investigation following your escalation, that the suggestion that there was something sinister about these dockets being with General Jacobs is in fact incorrect or even unfair to him. You may comment.
I just first want to say that Commissioner Kumalo is smiling at me, which makes me worried. And then I want to say, I'm sure it's in the recordings. So yes, I did not meet with him because I essentially did not wish to meet with him.
But then why give him the runaround? Why not just say to him at the outset, listen, I'm not going to cooperate. I want this to be investigated by an independent entity.
You can call Colonel Phillips, or you can bring him here. And I said to him in the beginning, I don't trust this. And he said, no, Mr. Adams, we're the good guys, we'll do this. But you know what? The advice that I had at the time, and I'm not going to say the man was wrong, he said, don't meet with this guy.
Is that General Lincoln again?
Yes, ma'am, but don't meet with this guy.
What independent entity did you have in mind?
It could have been anyone, Commissioner. It could have been the public protector. It could have been the IPID. It could have been the minister. Could have assigned someone. I didn't suggest anyone. I said an independent body.
Why would it have been the minister who goes to the public protector on your behalf? If you felt that you had a complaint to lay with the public protector, why did you not go to the public protector yourself?
That's actually a valid question, and I suppose if I didn't get any joy out of the minister, that would have been my next step.
Actually, it wasn't, because you then send your email on the 10th of November to the minister saying you're not happy with the process. Right?
Let me just check that.
We'll get to on page 57 of your bundle, your annexures, file 2.
File 2. Part 2. This is nothing. Page?
Page 58.
58. Is it file 2? There. File 2.
You approach the minister, what you have in mind is some independent entity, and you have specific ones in your mind. What did you expect the minister to do? Did you expect the minister to go to the public protector on your behalf, or to go to IPID on your behalf? Because you say right from the onset, what you had in mind was something independent. So did you expect the minister to go to those independent entities on your behalf? And if that is so, why should the minister have done that on your behalf? What mandate does he have to do that on your behalf? Yes, please.
Thank you. The way you frame it now, it actually makes me consider my response, Commissioner. But I was pleading for help here from the highest authority in the country within the SAPS.
But you already knew, from what you say, you already knew that you did not want SAPS to do this, and that what you had in mind was an independent entity. So why must the minister do that for you? What mandate did the minister have to do this on your behalf?
He didn't have one, Commissioner.
He didn't have one.
I do concede your point.
So why did you go to the minister?
It was the most obvious door to knock on.
It's not so obvious. It's not so obvious.
It generally,
based on the responses you give now, it was not obvious at all.
To me, it was the logical thing to do, complain with the minister.
But what did you want him to do? Because you say in so many words that what you had in mind was something independent. What did you expect the minister to do?
I actually did expect the minister to approach like he did with the IDAC or the public protector or whichever commission there was. And I do concede what you're saying.
But if you already have those independent entities in your own mind, you ought to have gone to them yourself. Why must the minister be the one who intercedes on your behalf?
That
doesn't make sense.
That point is accepted. It's conceded, Commissioner. I won't argue.
Let me tell you what I think. I think you're not being truthful when you say you expected the minister to go outside of SAPS. I think you're not being truthful. You expected the minister to sort this out for you within SAPS. It's just that now you have difficulties answering the questions put to you by Commissioner Baloyi. That's why you now tell us about expecting some independent entity. Yes.
Commissioner, just to make it easy, because it's seeming disrespectful when I speak over you. When you're done, and if you can just put the light off, then I know I can speak. Sorry, man, because you pause, and I think you're done, and then I want to jump, and then you start. Commissioner, in my first email, I don't mention an independent entity. I'm actually half expecting the minister to use his powers, whatever they may be, to see to it that this stops. But then as in the course of those 10 days, I just get this illusion with all of SAPS, and I say, can we have an independent entity look at this? Now, I understand the way you're framing it right now. It makes me question my own action. But I didn't jump to the minister off the bat and say, get some. No, I did not do that. I asked the minister, we have a problem here. And then as it appeared to me, if I may, am I like to start? As it appeared to me that the problem was bigger than I thought it was getting, I said, Minister, can we just have an independent person or officer institute? I must check the wording. But I didn't ask for, let's say, Sultana Saps to investigate or the IDAC. Or I said, can we have an independent body? I think body is the term I use, but I can check the email. But I do consider and concede what you're saying, that I could have been, let me say, more measured in what I did. I will concede to that.
The distinct impression it creates to my mind is that at the time you approached the minister, you never had any idea about either the minister himself or just the possibility of an outside entity being approached. You did not have that in your mind. That's the distinct impression I have. Rather, the problem you are facing now is that you are not able to give an explanation as to your conduct. That's the difficulty you have. And that is why you now give us the answers that you've been given. I will leave it at that.
Thank you, Chair. So let's just go